Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Namasami. So I think I'd like to reflect a little bit today on two things that are closely interrelated: how to meditate and how to relate to the world around us. How to live a skillful life. And I can see that the Buddha gave a lot of guidance on both these aspects of our experience as human beings. There's a lot of wonderful guidance on meditation practice, particularly the Anapanasati Sutta, giving teachings on how to work with awareness of the breath. And also Kayagata Sati Sutta, awareness of the body. These are two suttas next door to each other, aren't they, in Majjhima Nikaya, 118, 119. And also Majjhima number 10, the Satipatthana Sutta, which gives some extra information really about how to develop the awareness of what we can know are the four foundations or four resorts of mindfulness. And so, it's really helpful for us to have a meditation practice, isn't it? And to be able to give time for meditation, ideally on a daily basis. Even better, session in the morning and some time in the evening, so that both at the beginning and also towards the end of the day we have a chance to stop and see how it is, see how the mind is, see how the body is, and to see what's going on, what's actually happening here. And all the rest of the day, of course, we are oftentimes kind of out and about, receiving all sorts of input through the sense doors, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, seeing, and also receiving information in the way of other people's thoughts, our own thoughts, ideas, news. And, it's a very, very rich experience, isn't it? Being a human being, having all these ways of connecting with what is. And there's also limits to what we can perceive, what we can receive, what we can understand. There's only so much we can be aware of in the world around us. We're only receiving certain kind of wavelengths, certain aspects of the energies around us, aren't we? And a lot passes us by, or even goes right through us. There's only so much that we can be aware of. But as the Buddha said, our world is the world of the six senses that are here, that are operating here. And our world is the world that we receive here. It's all we can really know. And many ways in which we receive information lead us to kind of speculate, to proliferate, to imagine, to kind of exaggerate, or in all sorts of different ways, to spin off on all sorts of different tangents, and add to the actual experience that we are receiving. And, you know, the ways in which we do this, the ways in which we create our worlds, are connected to the past, connected to our past karma, to the momentum, the energetic forces that have led to this experience right now. Starting with birth of this body, and then the whole kind of trajectory of this life. So we are actually, in a sense, if we're not meditating and or if we're not fully present, experiencing simply what is in this moment, then we'll be in the past. We'll be creating the world according to what we already know, what's already been kind of learned by us. So, for instance, when we see a sight, say I'm looking out now the window here in Canmore and I'm seeing the little mini forest that we have in the garden here, and immediately registering, immediately perceiving trees and sunlight and space and the various objects in the room. And I have all sorts of past history coming into play as I name and label the things that are being seen. Simply seeing is something quite different. So we can recognize how there is a very quick, very almost immediate receiving and then perceiving that happens with all the inputs that we receive through all the different sense doors. And the perceptions that we have are conditioned. They depend upon our past, the past. So it's just really helpful to know this, and to know that one of the ways in which the Buddha gave a summary of his teaching was to say to a particular monk in one of the suttas, when there's seeing, let there just be seeing. When there's hearing, just hearing, and so forth, with all the different sense inputs. To be able to be really mindful of what's happening right now is to simply see, to simply hear, to simply feel what's felt right now. And it's really wonderful for us to have a meditation practice, because when we meditate, when we make time, when we stop and renounce the world by coming and finding a quiet place, isn't it, sitting or standing or lying down or even walking, we make the time to simply be here and to bring attention to the body, bring attention to the breath, see what the state of mind is. Making this time, making this space for our formal meditation practice, hopefully daily for most of us, we're actually training ourselves, we're actually showing ourselves how to relate skillfully to the world. And the whole purpose, the whole function really of meditation practice is to allow this quality of mindfulness, this bare attention, this ability to be with what is, and not to embellish and not to add perceptions and thoughts and ideas about what's actually being experienced. The whole purpose of this is to be able to allow this kind of quality of attention to seep through into our everyday life, to manifest in our everyday life, so that we're, rather than being kind of thrown around or being on sort of automatic pilot, or being victims of the past, living in the past, we can actually live in the present, and we can see the fullness of each present experience, each momentary experience, and how unnecessary it is actually to add anything to that, how unhelpful it is to dwell in the past, how unhelpful it is to assume that we know what we're seeing, thinking, feeling, touching, tasting, how helpful it is to be able to have a fresh gaze, to be able to be open to the way it is now, you know. It's to see the world through the eyes of innocence, you know, the eyes of truth, so that we're not in a foggy kind of veiled world of our own history, the history that's brought us here. And, you know, it's interesting to me that we save ourselves a lot of emotional turmoil when we can be simply present and allow our meditation practice to inform, you know, our entire lives. Because there's a simplifying that happens, there's a clarity that's there for us, and we can operate through very healthy and light kind of ways of relating to the world emotionally. So I can see that when I'm caught up in the past, when I have something happen and it immediately chimes in for me with all the different times that this person has approached me in this way in the past and spoken to me in this kind of way, it all kind of connects up very quickly, and I'm immediately propelled into irritability or sadness or anxiety, fear, because I know this. I know what's going to happen. I know what this person's agenda is, and I know that, you know, I'm overwhelmed again by this. This is just an example of, you know, the way in which our world tends to constellate around us according to our past, according to our particular issues, our particular desires, our particular fears, our ignorance, in short. And so, you know, if we can stay present, have a meditative attitude throughout our day, incidents happen, perceptions arise, but we can actually notice before we fall into the trap of our history, of our patterns, of our assumptions, you know, our always delusory perceptions around things, then we can simply notice another person who's saying a few words, and we can feel perhaps some sort of response that's a conditioned response relating to the past, but we can know that this is just a response. It's just a feeling, a series of experiences of perhaps feelings in the body, maybe some thoughts coming and going, and maybe an emotional response of anxiety, fear, irritability, sadness, you know. And when we really start to disentangle ourselves from our past and our conditioning, we can even stop labeling these experiences and just feel what we feel, you know. So what I label as sadness is, what is it really? What is anxiety really? What does fear really manifest as here and now? And it will be indescribable for most of us. there's something going on here. There's a tightening in the belly, or maybe some clenching of the hands, or there's a coldness seeping through the body, or a tremble or a shake, whatever it might be. Even those words are not really getting to the heart of the matter, because the feelings come first, and the words are a poor kind of representation, aren't they, of what's actually happening for us when we have an emotion washing through the body. Just to know that, just to be with that. We can notice, we can be, grateful for our emotional responses to our experiences day by day, moment by moment, because they're telling us so much. They're giving us our history. Our history is presenting itself to us. Our patterns are revealing themselves. Our habits are showing themselves. And all we really have to do is meditate, in the sense of observing, being mindful, allowing our daily practice, our meditation practice, to seep through and to come into the foreground, particularly when we notice some trigger that brings our history to the foreground for us, that brings our history up into our faces. And off we go again. We're reacting again, reacting in the same ways we've always reacted. That can be at the foreground for us. We can be glad, because then we can bring mindfulness to the foreground and simply observe. Observe the conditioning. And as we observe conditioning, of course, what happens is it deconstructs, it deconditions. The history starts to fade away. And then our relationship with the world can become something more measured, more peaceful. We can truly develop a stillness through our meditation practice that can manifest in our everyday lives. In all that's going on around us, there can be a stillness. There can be this quality of observing reality, witnessing, isn't it? Being present for, that is completely free from all of the ups and downs and the endless turmoil of world meeting this history, world meeting this karma right here. There's an interface that's very, very potent for us, where the world meets these patterns, this history, this person, and we can see there's a rub, and there's occasionally sparks flying. There's occasionally really strong friction in the form of reactivity, in the form of us being triggered, in the form of us getting anxious, getting angry, getting upset. And this is the time to come back to the mindfulness, to really bring it up, to meditate, to come back to the breath. Whenever I'm triggered, whenever I'm reactive, I need to stop right there and just allow the attention to rest in the body with the breath. And there we are, we're deconstructing. Right in that moment, we're coming out of history, we're letting go of past karma, and we're freeing the heart. And so it's a very wonderful process, a very dynamic process, this process of path. And these meditation factors of bringing in the effort, making the effort to keep coming back to mindfulness, to sammasati, and to allow the mindfulness that we're cultivating in our meditation practice to actually lead to stillness on the mat, stillness when we're sitting, when we're meditating, but also a stillness in relation to the world around us. And this amazing chance then to allow everything that's going on around us in our everyday lives to move us toward liberating the heart. Let every experience kind of be grist for the mill, the mill keeps grinding, Just let all the experiences come in and grind them up. Dismantle our habits, our patterns, and our knee-jerk responses, to the things that happen for us and around us. And it's really wonderful to see how, as I'm sure you know, gradually, as we keep practicing and applying ourselves to the Eightfold Path, developing the Eightfold Path factors, each and every one of them, our relationship to the world begins to get healthier. We're, instead of living in the future or living in the past, operating from habits is to live in the past. To live in the future is to live in fear, to live in anxiety, to be stressed. Because when we're projecting forward into the future, what are we doing? We're trying to create something out of nothing. We're trying to control, reality. And we're almost inevitably fearful because we don't know what's going to happen. We can't tell what's going to happen. And we can proliferate endlessly, can't we, about what might or might not happen. And it's generally pretty consistently a source of anxiety, a source of fear for us. So, to keep developing mindfulness, to keep developing our practice, is to become more and more inclined to rest in the present and let go of our history and let go of any sense of future, any sense of becoming. And how rich is that? How full is this experience? And how peaceful? How peaceful, because when we're here, when we're present, we're embodied. We're feeling what we feel. We're learning through meditation to be alive in the moment, to know how it is right now. And then we can observe, the thoughts, the emotions as they arise. They last for a while, but they're constantly changing within that lasting time. And then they're ceasing, arising and passing, constantly changing. And in this space, in this reality of presence, mindful presence, stillness develops, peace develops, and our emotions arise and pass with great rapidity, and they don't stick, and we don't get overwhelmed. We don't have to be overwhelmed by the difficult and painful emotions. There's a wellspring within us of healthy emotions, healthy responses that we begin to notice. So how wonderful is this? If we're resourced, if we're present, if we're grounded, if we're in touch with what's happening right now, then our responses will reflect this. Our emotional responses will be a manifestation of what is skillful right now. This happens just so naturally for us, doesn't it? It's not an effort. The effort actually is in being on automatic pilot. That's hard work. It's hard work producing the habits and patterns, actually. It feels easeful because it's what we're used to. It's what we know. It's a kind of home for us, a home of dukkha, a home of suffering. But it fits, like the gloves that fit, the shoes that fit. They might actually be too small, or they might be really quite inadequate to keep us warm, but they're what we're used to and they kind of fit. But to be able to be present and to see these patterns for what they are and to let go of the past history is to experience, unknowing, but it's so peaceful. It's so much more relaxing for us. Because the truth is always very delicious to us, isn't it? The truth. Seeing the way things are, it's enormously releasing. It's an enormous relief to be able to be here, to be truly alive. And the emotions that arise in relation to the world around us are then helpful, healing, supportive, not just for ourselves, but for everyone and everything around us. What are the healthy responses to the world? From a place of presence, a place of grounded awareness. Metta, loving kindness, is the natural response to the world within and the world around us. Loving kindness. It's an unconditional, natural outpouring from the heart that is still, the heart that is at peace. And upekkha, equanimity, is a given when we're able to be fully present, because there's nothing to get ruffled about. There's nothing to shake the heart. There's nothing to fear when we don't have a future, when we know that we don't have a future. We can't go there without fear and anxiety, and so there's really no value in predicting, stressing over what might happen, however compelling it is, however compelling the wish to know what's ahead. We can't know, and there's nothing we can do to make the future this way or that. But what we can most certainly do is to make the present as good as it can be. And from that place, from this very powerful place of presence, we give the best chance for a good future. The future will follow on from this ability to fully dwell in the present. It's so needed. It's so essential for all of us to be able to come home to what's happening right now. It's the only way we can actually have any agency at all in this realm, in this world. And these healthy emotions are a natural result of letting go of the future, letting go of the past, and being present. And this is our contribution then, to be able to be calm, to be able to be fearless, to be able to be unshakable, and to offer this, into the field, into the world around us, with all our interactions internally and our interactions with those around us, and our relationship to nature around us. Loving kindness and equanimity. This is the best we can give. And from this place of really being resourced, really being able to be with what's happening right now, we actually have the opportunity to operate with right action, with right speech, with right livelihood. It's where these qualities really ultimately come from. They come from a place of stillness, presence, and letting go. They come from selflessness, which is the result of presence. Recognizing that the world doesn't revolve around this particular space right here. There's a bigger picture, and I can let go into that. There can be a letting go of the I. There's no I. There's no me. There's no mine. And to be present is to cultivate the understanding, the letting go of self, to cultivate the appreciation of change, of incredible flexibility, incredible possibility. But we can only know that now, here and now, and to be able to let go of suffering, to let go of all the fear, all the anxiety, the quaking, the trembling, the shaking. Only presence, only the cultivation through meditation of present mindful awareness, stillness, is going to enable us to be able to face, understand, and overcome all the negative emotions, And then what's left, We're beings with kind of an original purity rather than original sin. We're actually, we have original purity. And so when the obscurations, when the defilements, when the fears, when the attachments, when the ignorance is able to dissipate through our meditation practice and our life practice of presence, of awareness, then there's no more grasping to suffering. There's no more cloud. There's no more obscuration. There's no more fog or mist, or the skies are no longer overcast and the sun can shine. Our natural state is a state of well-being. It's a state of loving kindness. It's a radiation, if you like, of benevolence. It's a peace and a calm that's completely unshakable. And where there's suffering around us, what's our natural response when we're present to suffering? It's compassion. We quite naturally resonate with the pain that we witness. When we're present, we're completely open to that. We're completely intimately connected to all beings. All that we experience around us becomes us. And there's a resonating, which is compassion. And it's not a suffering. It's not a source of suffering whatsoever. It's a seeing. It's a feeling. It's a holding lovingly to the other, the suffering one. It's an openness to the other's suffering. It's a seeing and it's a hearing of the other in their suffering that is healing, that is capable of really meeting suffering and not shying away from it, not turning away, not needing to protect ourselves from suffering. And this is very valuable because this is the beginning of right action, right response, knowing how to proceed. If there's suffering around us, how do we help? First, we need to be able to not be overwhelmed by the suffering. We need to be able to be present. And when we're present, compassion arises. And from that compassion comes the right action, the right speech, the right way of manifesting in relation to that suffering. And when there's joy, of course, we rejoice. Mudita is the quality of a healthy heart, where there's happiness in the field, where people are having good experiences, things are going well for others. We feel naturally a sense of rejoicing, wanting to celebrate with them. And again, because there's a resonance with what is, we're absolutely open, connected, and you could say empathic, where we are the other. We're not separate. We know we're not separate when we're not obscured by defilements, by hindrances, by confusion, by delusion, by desires, and by all the ways in which we are averse to the world, when we're struggling with our history, struggling with the past. So in short, I would say, to be able to meditate is such a huge blessing for us. And through our meditation practice, we're learning to apply mindfulness and its resultant stillness to our everyday lives, aren't we? To everything that's happening within us and around us. And when we're present in this way, we can see hindrances as they arise. We can feel the negative emotions as they arise and pass. We can allow ourselves to fully feel our history as it unfolds, and not be that, but observe that. Allow that to do what it will naturally do when we're present, which is to arise, to last for a while, constantly changing, and then to fade completely away into oblivion. And we move through our history. We're no longer identifying with history. We're no longer the owners of karma. We see karma as a force in this world. It also arises and passes, and we are not defined by that. We're not trapped. We can let go. We can let go of all the sources of suffering and continue to develop ever-deepening presence and awareness. And through this presence and awareness, there's a clearing out, that the whole past history that's brought us here can be cleared out, can be cleansed, can be let go of, can dissolve. And the sun can come out. The sun can begin to shine, maybe at intervals, and then gradually a little bit more. And the sun is nothing but these qualities. All that's left then, it's like the gold in the crucible. You burn up all the defilements, burn away all the dross through our mindfulness, through our wise attention, through our stillness, through our presence. And what's left, the gold, the beautiful, however many carat gold that's left, is pliable, is beautiful, it's radiant, it shines, shining with these natural responses from a healthy heart of love, of compassion, of joy, and of peace, of equanimity, the unshakable heart that can, really lend itself to healing. We heal ourselves first. First, we want to really pay attention to healing here. Give it all the time you can. It's the most important thing we can do. We can really recognize that agency in the world, right agency, right action, right speech, right livelihood come from a heart that's healed, a heart that's healthy. So this is our priority. Heal first. This one will heal first. And then from this place, we can really offer something of value into the world. And it's not a huge effort even, it's natural. The whole spiritual path in a way is simply becoming natural, simply being part of nature, which is what we've always been and we always will be. But we want to be able to recognize that, let go into that, allow ourselves to be what we are, which is nothing but nature, Dhamma. So let's be the Buddha seeing the Dhamma, each one of us, and allow healing to happen. And then we can help, we can serve, we can offer all that we have into this world to ease and release and relieve suffering wherever we find it. So I think that's enough for now, everyone.